So I was chilling yesterday, right? I was chill back right for a second. Studying. There's a young individual, yes, right here on YouTube. There's a young individual that struggles every single day with lupus. To the fact that now she's in need of a lung transplant, double lung transplant, where you need, yes, both lungs or whatnot. The suffering and the challenges of going through that as in a daily struggle. And how this individual, she vlogs from her hospital room, her hospital bed, to be specific. She shows you everything. The endurance, the tears that I had in my eyes, yes, viewing her. Asia is her name. I'm going to, in a little bit, show you some of her vlogs on YouTube or whatever. As I stated before, my sound and everything is muted, but I will allow you to see as the viewer. See, there's individuals out here. I'm saying the reason why I'm stating this and the reason why I'm showing her off, because to tell you life is about purpose and meaning, even in struggle and even despite the struggle. And sometimes paying attention and listening to other individuals outside of yourself, as in who's going through hardship, as in who's trying, such as people that are laying somewhat or yes completely dying based upon a terminal illness. That sort of thing you would in fact not want to let your eyes bypass. There's many people in society do that sort of thing as well. They don't want to sit and watch an individual such as Asia go through her daily motion of struggle trying to survive. When she was saying about her oxygen level, and there's a certain percentage that her lungs have to be able to operate as a capacity, as a percentage and all that, because if they're not, they can completely fail out. Her lungs give out. That sort of thing is known to happen because they have a condition such as a lupus. That's to know that you might in fact, yes, death could be in fact greeting at your door. And me saying this, yes, the blog is to solve my daily videos, which they stand right. So when me saying that, like, subscribe in the Discovery channel, yes, the Discovery channel, the link is provided below. ID, Investigation Discovery channel, and all the rest, I got the links provided below as well. When somebody asked me, well, why did you say, somebody came up to me and asked me, why did you say Investigation Discovery was on the Discovery channel? And I was trying to tune in, and come to find out it wasn't even on a Discovery channel, because there's a specific and even logic with that. The channel, yes, for Investigation Discovery pertaining to that sort of thing is Investigation Discovery channel. That's one thing. It's his own network. Investigation Discovery channel, that's his own network. And then you got Discovery channel. But remember, for me to serve on a team of things that, yes, sell all type of products pertaining to the logos and all the rest, to say that all fits together. It's right there. That's everything that we in fact serve pertaining to community, as in lives and all the rest. So when I say discovery, I'm saying discovery itself, right? That has to be pointed out in a recognition, as in a call out, in case you want to go tune in and you say, well, I can't find it. You said this, you said Discovery channel. No, there's Investigation Discovery channel, as in a network, and there's also Discovery channel. They're both known to, in fact, yes, Discovery channel, Killing Fields, Killing Fields, that was known to, yes, be on the Discovery channel. And then you got Investigation Discovery channel. What I think and feel that majority of, say, crime shows and all that, I already spoke about that before. I just didn't say it on video. But to say pertaining to teams of people and who you serve, I feel like a lot of the crime shows more so need to be set on Investigation Discovery, as in the network itself, and not be really there on Discovery channel, because I'm anal at that sort of thing, as in putting things together as a whole and not just have some of this over here and then some of this over here. I feel that true crime should all be packaged with Investigation Discovery, and then Discovery channel does its own thing. And I don't mean Oprah Winfrey. So yes, going back to what I was saying, I had to say that needed to be there. So Asia, with her struggling what she struggles with pertaining to the lupus and all the rest, right? There's people that die from that. I in fact have family members that have died from that personally. I know my grandmother on my mother's side, that's my mother's mother, my grandmother in fact had a niece that died from lupus. And I also have other family members that are, yes, There's survivors in that, and yet not everybody experienced that as an outcome. That sort of thing, yeah. It don't work out for everybody struggling. And matter of fact, when my cousin, before she died, a few years before she survived through it and all the rest, right? Matter of fact, I have an older cousin right now that she is, in fact, yes, struggling with that and get tired and all this other stuff, right? And so, with me saying that, my cousin, years before she died, she, in fact, her body turned a different color. As in, she was known to have a complexion somewhat, I think, a few shades darker than mine's, right? Could be possibly Oprah Winfrey skin tone a little bit, right? But then as she started to get sicker, more and more sick, her liver and all the rest, she had issues with all that, to the fact that her skin tone, yes, everything started to get darker in shade, and bodily organs and all the rest start to decline, which is where I'm going pertaining to Asha herself. She's right here on YouTube if you want to search and look her up. Her GoFundMe. The GoFundMe, as in with her needing what she need, the lung transplant, there's an issue with that because of her body size being one. To need a transplant is to know you gotta be fitted right. You can't have lungs too big or lungs too small if you was to get them from a child or something like that, right? So they in fact need to be fitted right. And not only that, pertaining to, like, she has issues with antibodies and all the rest. That's some immunology or whatnot, your immune system and all the rest being able to fight off stuff. Sometimes the antibodies could kick up in your body too, depending on what you eat and all that other stuff. I was going to send a message to her to say she might need to, in fact, be careful with consuming too much bread, such as refined type food, because that could more than likely be increasing her antibodies as well. That's going to antibodies. You don't want that number and all that to be too high with antibodies, because that sort of thing, it'll start to, yes, eat away at organs and stuff like that, right? Antibodies and breads and sugars and all that other stuff like that, soda pop, that thing will in fact kick up antibody numbers and all that. That will be a load on your system, and you will in fact progress faster, as in your body quickly declining. So when me saying that, she made a video about the time is running out. I'm just going to go through a few of her videos just so I can show you her struggle or whatnot. You will be, if you go on here, you would in fact be greeted by that. See her in the hospital bed and her little hospital robe. She's a cute, adorable. Oh, let me do this. Before I go to that, let me go to her GoFundMe first. Let me go to that first so that you can see her GoFundMe, how it's set up. The Asha Transplant Fund, and it has a description right here about that. So I'm gonna read a little bit about her so you can know her story, right? Just a little bit about her so that you know. She in fact uploads videos every day, as in, because if they don't get her a transplant soon enough, this young individual may in fact die. Yes, didn't I say 70% pertaining to her lung and breathing capacity? She has to in fact wear this 24 hours a day on her face. Not the cutesy stuff right here with the nose and all that, but so that she can have the air and all that. She has to be able to breathe, and it's been times where there were emergency issues on her end where her breathing and all that was decreasing and she couldn't breathe at all, where teams had to rush in her room. Yes, and they had to in fact, yes, her hospital door had to in fact be left open, and they were coming in. I'm thinking they said they were coming in every 5 minutes or something to check in to make sure she was still breathing. This is in fact a real life situation and not fake. She's in Houston, Texas. That's where she lives and resides and all that. So let me just read you the introduction on her GoFundMe. So it says it's August 10th, 2018. She wrote this a few days ago. She has updated it. So it's been updated 2 days ago. So it says it's August 10th, 2018, and I'm still waiting for a double lung transplant. That's what I spoke about in my opening. I'm still waiting for a double lung transplant. within the last 2 weeks, my lung condition has been declining rapidly. Didn't I say that in my opening? She says within the last 2 weeks, my lung condition has been declining rapidly. Friday, the doctor came in alone in my room, my sister with me. He told me time is critical and that there's a chance I may not get a transplant, yes, in time. And I watched that video as well pertaining to her situation when the doctor told her her situation is fatal. Yes, it is completely fatal. So I'm going to repeat that line again. The doctor came into her room. She was alone. She had her sister with her, and the doctor, in fact, told her that, yes, I seen that with my own 2 eyes on the video footage pertaining to him telling her she might, in fact, not get a transplant in time. Which means if you don't get a transplant in time, is it know that death and it will, in fact, greet you. As in, yes. So, yeah, there's a lot with this. So the doctor, he told me they've exhausted everything that they can do. As far as chemo, yes. I can't even pronounce that, but you will be able to pronounce this word. To break it down to a science is pronounce it. I allow you, the viewer, to pronounce that word for me, despite me being with Discovery. Hell, I can't pronounce everything. Nobody knows everything. So that's a real on my end. So I am still on the list, but because of my blood type and antibodies, didn't I speak about her antibodies? Because, yeah, I am still on the list. That's the waiting list that she's on for that lung, for her lung transplant. I am still on the list, but because of my blood type and antibodies, I haven't been getting any matches. I spoke about that in my opening. Her being on the waiting list, for her to be able to get that precise lung, she needs 2 lungs. That's why the double lung transplant. It needs to, her lungs, in fact, that she received through transplant and all the rest, it in fact needs to fit her body precise. And it also has to be able to be given to her depending on to her antibody level. Or, yeah, her antibodies, the level and all that when they kick up or whatever drop. So she's on the list, and she says I haven't been getting any matches. No donors have been popping up on the scene to help this young individual out. She just had a birthday. She ain't even 30 years old. That's so sad. Or did she just turn 30? I think she did just turn 30. She's still young though. So I am at the top of the list also. She's way at the top of the list when it comes to needing a donor, right? But it's just a matter of the right match. She says my heart is getting weaker also. Pertaining to lupus, a lot of people don't understand lupus. Toni Braxton, the celebrity, yes, I grew up and loved and adored, and I in fact got her poster on my wall, right? She's just one of those individuals that I love who is a celebrity, right? Been watching and following her for years. But Toni Braxton in fact struggles with lupus as well. And her struggle every day is to feel like she has what's the word for it? The flu. Many individuals who don't know or never had lupus or whatnot, people that struggle every single day with lupus, a lot of times they get that fatigue pertaining to them feeling like they have the flu. If you ever had the flu, and if you ever remember how it made you feel, well, that is in fact how lupus actually feels. And I myself don't struggle with lupus, and yet once again, family members, when you hear their story and they tell you, and even Toni Braxton, her saying, because to be putting on concerts and shows is to say you may or may not always be able to make it there depending on how you feel or whatnot. Toni Braxton I'm speaking on, right? And so in me saying that's one of the things that even Toni herself have said, as in told the public and made it aware and known. And that's why Toni Braxton is in fact a spokesperson for individuals such as Asia. You need some figure there that's willing to do something like that in order to make the public know what is going on with the individual such as Asia as in the struggle, as well as helping to prevent death. That's what real life celebrities do. Not everybody is going to do that sort of thing, even in them having it. They wouldn't want to show their face because they'll be thinking, well, I might in fact get shamed for that. Well, so what? You're helping somebody like this to survive, because if you're a Toni Braxton standing there telling people, look, my heart. Anybody remember when Toni had performed, what was it out in Vegas where she in fact performed and she couldn't go on because she had issues with her heart and all this other stuff that was going on. She in fact deal with that today, pertaining to heart failure, how your heart want to give out, pertaining to lupus eating it up. Lupus imposes damage on multiple bodily organs, major organs, and all tissues and all that. It eats it up in the process, and that's how a lot of times individuals such as this young lady right here, that is in fact how many of them in fact die. You die more so by lupus eating at your major organs. Yes, eating at your major organs more so than you having lupus itself. Lupus will sit there just as much as this lady sitting here. She's younger than me. Remember, I'm going into my 40s, and yet she ain't even halfway there, right? She ain't even halfway making a mark, and even that, right? Lupus will sit where she is sitting at and eat completely away throughout her body. There has been individuals where their eyes have been taken away from them in forms of fashion, almost in a like glaucoma, but not completely that. Where even antibodies and all that kick up too high, the numbers and stuff get eaten up and all that, your internal organs and all that. So she is saying my heart is also getting weaker. That's what that lupus is doing to her. It's in fact speeding up the decline of her major organs. Is eating away at her is what I'm trying to say. She says he also asked me how I felt about all. This is the doctor asking. The doctor has asked this individual, Asia herself, how does she feel about all? Because see, to know that a doctor know that death might stand in this, as in it could be coming for you, is for even him to do his job by asking you, have you processed this condition more than likely could kill you? How do you feel about that? He has to know her mindset, because even that has to be documented. Because if her mindset is going into zero, as in going into red, as in becoming completely negative, is to know a therapist has to be sent over to her. Some type of therapist or something. You got an occupational therapy. You got all type of therapies that will help individuals like this. As in that. Because grieving could stand in that. As in you're waiting on something and you may or may not get it, the doctor has to document that as well. As in, well, how do you feel? You know, because even the death might, even a death might await her, who knows, right? Or a miracle might await her. When she feel like giving up, the next thing you know, here come two double lung transplant. And yet how rare and how often is that? Is to ask. The doctor has to ask himself that as they look around and try to see what they can get her or whatnot. So let me see. He asked her how she felt. She said, I told him I still have faith that it will happen. She still has faith that more than likely that double lung transplant is going to in fact arrive on the scene for her, and all will be taken care of, right? And so she said, today I am thanking God for this day. I know that God has already worked everything out. I love all of you. She's saying that to her supporters. She love all of you. Because there's individuals that in fact sit up and watch her, and not only do they watch her, they give what they can. You got some people that they didn't have much at all, and yet they give $5 or $10. They give something out of their hard-earned work money to make themselves feel better. As in, what, even to give $5, it might not seem like a lot. Even to give $10, $20, $25, it might not seem a lot, and yet it's something, right? Because some people don't really have the time and the full resource capacity to say give to somebody else. They worked all this week. They might have other things to do, children to feed, and yet they try to play their part where they can. They will rather not just say, well, God or the universe put us all here to help other people, and yet I'm not going to pay attention, knowing that could be my mother, my sister, or even my father or my brother or whoever, just sitting there wasting away, half lifeless almost in the process. Some people can't even deal with themselves, knowing that they're just going to sit back and allow and watch that to happen. They want to give something, even if it's $25, something. There's one person on here, I won't say their name, but they in fact gave $5 because that's more than likely all they had. It's nothing at all shameful giving somebody $10, $15 or even $5 to help them. There's no shame in that, right? Some people feel like, well, I don't have nothing to give. Well, Don't be a sorry excuse with even that. You got something. I'm saying, if you got it in your pocket and you know you got more money to make up for what you're going to give to this female, to know that you got something is to not use a petty excuse of, well, I got $20 and yet I ain't trying to be shamed. Well, so what? Because there's losers, in fact, all across the world and the globe they're not helping anybody. They're in fact taking from people and draining people in the process. And yet to help somebody like this young individual live and survive, she's barely making it. Laying in a hospital all day in a bed, and then you gotta have whoever come into your room say, well, can you just do a little bit of this? Can you just do at the hospital with nurses? She in fact have had to report nurses. She had to do that, report nurses and all the rest when they try to do this, as in forcing you to get up knowing you can't hardly breathe anyway. She's really not supposed to do too much of nothing because she can't breathe. She can't even breathe on her own. That bag or whatever is on her face has to stay there. That's why it's mounted there. You can't be forcing people to try to do all this and try to do all that physically when they don't even hardly have lungs to begin with. That's a no-go. That's not gonna. So those nurses you would in fact want to report, as in get them out of your room and get them out of your space, because a death could even await in that, as in them trying to make you get up and do too much and you can't breathe. The girl can literally fall down and die. And one of them nurses wouldn't care. They would just go off somewhere and do whatever else, and that be the end. No, that ain't gonna work. So yeah, she says, so please keep sharing my story and please keep sharing my journey. I'm not giving up. Stuff like this is in fact my focus. I don't focus on any of the whatever over there, whoever people, because see, many of them, they don't pay attention to stuff like this. And yet the focus on an individual like this is to say even your life could go much more further. As in, you're not having pity parties sitting there, these individuals that don't want to do nothing and help nobody and do nothing meaningful. And they wonder, well, I can't make a come up in life. Well, maybe if you would go serve somebody like this individual, as in go help somebody like this, go take a shower. That's her struggle as well. Sometimes she can't even get up enough to go bathe or take a shower, because everywhere she goes, she has to take that tank with her so that it can breathe for her. Who wants to endure that every day? Who wants to be laying there enduring that, as in having people watch you on video, watch you with the struggle of that? Knowing you got to get up and go wash your ass, like many of us like to call it. That's real life. Wash your ass or go take a dump, a poop. And you got to have people there with you at all times, possibly even to help you wipe your butt and clean your butt with soap and water, because to bend over too much is to say your lungs are half giving out there. To be bending over, it takes bending over to even wipe your butt after you done poop or peed or even taken a shower. To bend down and wipe your legs with soap and water while you're in a shower is to know you're going to in fact need somebody else to do that for you, because all that bending over constantly is to say that your lungs might in fact give out in that. Somebody need to be, and like when I left the message that I left to her saying what I said, you in fact need to allow your family, yes, to do what they need to do, as in helping you. Her car has been towed as well, because see, to be laying up in this bed, this hospital bed, and the way that she's forced to do 24 hours a day, it ain't much that she can do unless she draws something or paints something or something like that. That's the only thing that she can do. And yet it could be hopelessness that stands in that, as in knowing that you can't do that you can't do what everybody else is doing while you're laying there. Some people don't want to face this, and yet this is real life. And yet when it happens to their family, they will in fact be forced to face that. I face it all. I know at any time a miracle could come for her, but just in case if it does or it doesn't, is to watch even her progression struggle in all of this, right? You got supporters that leave their comment and all the rest. So supporters for days on end that leave they comments and all the rest, because they know at any time any one of their family members and blood relatives could in fact go through this sort of thing, right? But this situation, that sort of thing, this is in fact the GoFundMe. If you want to in fact find her, and if you're looking for the GoFundMe link, it's in fact provided in her description It's in fact, yes, provided in her YouTube description, in which I'm about to go back on. We're about to go right back over there, but I had to show that. Let me go back. So yeah, that's not gonna work. You getting in the shower knowing you could barely. I had to leave a message on even that. That's not gonna work. Her car got towed. Because see, to be in the hospital and not be at home, and she got videos that point back way back to February 2018. That's a long time to say be in the hospital, and even before. To be in the hospital that long and say have your car sitting somewhere, it's a no. Sometimes the tags or whatever can become outdated. And yet when they towed her car, tow truck and everything towed her car. And her neighbor had to call her on the phone and let her know, oh, your car is gone, right? So when her neighbor called and let her know, the hour difference pertaining to Asia and her neighbor is when her neighbor would call her, Asia would be asleep. And then when Asia would go to call her neighbor back, her neighbor would be asleep, right? And so the neighbor, called her and let her know your car has been gone. It's gone. It was in fact towed, right? And so the reason why with that is for the simple fact her being in the hospital bed and then her not being able to say, move the car. Her mother in fact will start the car and ride the car around the block. Yes, to keep the car in motion and moving. You don't want a car sitting like that, because it would in fact rust all the way out with that, as in issues are prone to stand and even letting the car sit too long, you being in the hospital for that long, right? And so what happened was the handicap sticker or whatnot became outdated on the car. How it's the tag thing that hangs from the mirror, that a lot of times has to be updated for those that don't know, right? And so with that, the tag that hangs from her mirror in her car, in fact, yes, it became outdated, as in expired, right? And so her mom really didn't know or whatnot. Asia thought that maybe her mother forgot to put the tag up in the window, right? Because that's usually where it sits. And so she thought maybe her mother took the tag down out of the window or failed to put it up in the window, but come to find out that was a thing, right? And so the issue was, when the car is towed like that, as in it's taken somewhere after it's been towed, is to say you got to go get the car and pay some money, right? So it was over $250 or something like that to get the car out, right? And so pertaining to that, her brother didn't work that day or whatnot when she contacted him to let him know, well, can you go get my car for me? That's what she asked her brother. Can you get my car for me from where they tow trucked it or towed it, whatever, with a tow truck or whatever. And so he had to get stuff notarized, because remember, if she ain't even able to leave out this hospital room, as in going somewhere to go pick up her car from where it's been towed to, right? Somebody else has to in fact handle that for her, all her business type of stuff, right? And so she get frustrated, and even that, like when I left a message, yes, on YouTube you leave comments, whatever, leave messages, or even outside. She has a P.O. box, yes, down in Houston, Texas. When I left whatever I left pertaining to, you don't sit anywhere in no hospital bed and think you're going to be doing everything for you. That's not going to work, and it's never going to happen. Yes, I get angry, and even that with even her Asia over there, because see, that's not going to work, because you can die in any of this. Dear Asia, you can in fact die in any of this. So in me saying that, you got to in fact allow your family members and even your brothers and whoever else, cousins, whatever, relatives, uncles. Her uncle visits her. Well, yes, he does. He visits her as well, as in make stuff, cook stuff or whatever, and bring it to her. There's a video. She was trying out some food he had brought to her or whatever, right? You got to let them do that. There ain't no way you're going to be laying in a hospital bed 1 minute and think you can go all walking down the block paying your bills. That's not going to work. That's why family is there. Dear Asia, yes, I'm going to send this even to her as well, the video I'm saying of me speaking about her situation, right? And so, and me saying that the car, yes, got towed. And so her brother had to get whatever notarized and all this other stuff to get the car back. And that is such a hassle, not on his end, right? But I'm saying for the system itself, as in, okay, well, if you know that somebody, there should be some leniency with that. I'm saying, pertaining to if somebody has a handicap sticker hanging up in their car, it's to say that can be the car of even a elderly person, as in leave it alone and don't be towing it away. Because even elderly people are known to forget to update their stuff, as in something expiring and expiration. I think that there should be a law for that. I really do, pertaining to handicapped people. I just do. And this situation being one of them, with Asia as in her stuff expiring and then a tow truck showing up, that ain't gonna work. There needs to be some law setting foot for all that. That is never going to work. Because for a system to not care, as to say an individual like this could eventually die off or something like that, her or anybody, and that's the least thing that they need to be on their mind, as in worried about. That was on her mind just enough to make her sick even more. Knowing that she couldn't get out the bed to go handle her own situation pertaining to getting her car back after it's been towed. She shouldn't be laid up worried about that, concerned about that. And it shouldn't have been towed in the first place. Taken away in the first place. There should be a law for that. That's what I'm trying to say, as in when somebody's handicapped and in the handicap lanyard, I like to call it, and yet it's not, it just sticks up in the mirror, up in the window, that sort of thing. Them vehicles should always be left alone, as in there shouldn't be no tow in that. Yes, people do stuff the wrong way and this and that, and yet she, as well as the elderly, is not one of those cases. So you shouldn't be towing anybody's anything. That is never going to work. That's just never going to work. There should be no move in even that, and not even a boot, where people like to say, well, we're gonna boot the car. In some cities and states, you got New York that be like that. Many cities and states do that. Put a boot on your car because, well, the handicap tag or whatnot hanging up in the window has expired. That's some stupid, petty, lame fuck type of mentality. I just have to say it. I'm vocal enough to say anything, and possibly even to a lawyer or a judge to their face, if even that was taken to court or something, to tell even them they need to fuck off and fix the system on top of even that. Because many of these individuals like her are in fact dying in the process, and yes with that's a real statement, as in the truth. Me going off, yes, and possibly against the laws, and telling a judge or a lawyer where to push and shove, and that as in a fuck off. If I was to say, well, that ain't gonna work, fix the system pertaining to, there's no way that tow trucking and all that should be coming into a situation like this, that ain't never gonna work. That ain't never even going to work. Because if somebody like this was to in fact die or something like that, any judge, attorney, law, whatever, ain't gonna be at her funeral. So I just say what I say. There's no soft spoken in that. How could it be? Real live real, let me tell you. So yes, her car was towed. She had bought a camera she bought a camera around that time, that the money, because it takes, yes, I have at one time an issue where years ago, when I was in my early 20s, where my car was towed or whatnot. That type of stuff take a lot of money, because some of them tow truck places, depending on what state you live in, some of them tow truck places, in fact, sometimes charged by the day $100. So for her to have to pay $250 is to say that's slightly cheap. But if you're laying in bed, not completely. No, it's not. But for a person that's working every day, going out, and they just spending money on random stuff, right? That's to say that they can afford that sort of thing. But somebody like this, that would in fact set you back. Which is why she was all upset, feeling like, well, I feel like I'm just being a burden to my family. No, you're not. How could you ever be a burden to your family? That's not gonna work. You gotta let your family be there and help you with that. Can't be bending over saying, I'm gonna take a shower and I'm gonna bend over and do all this and this and that, and then you fall or something. No, you need to let them do what they need to do. That ain't gonna work. It's not going to work thinking I can just be sick laying in bed and I'm going to do everything. You can't be your own savior in that. Which could be why God has family surrounding you and all that. Hello, dear Asia. That's just the truth. I can't be soft-spoken in that. It's not going to work. So, and me saying, she bought a camera. Because remember, this is her life and her telling, as in the lessons of being able to allow you, the viewer, to see. So to stay up, yes, with mechanical things or a camera is to show even that. She possibly want the visual and all that other stuff more clear, crisp, and cleaner or whatever to show you, or what, that her experience is to say that the camera was in fact needed. And yet she was all sad and upset and crying because remember, she spent the money on the camera. Yes, she did. She spent the money on the camera, and yet to be told like that is to say the money in fact was needed for, yes, to pay for the towing, as in to get your car back after it's been towed. You can't be getting upset by stuff like that, because that's not gonna work. Yeah, for you not to know that situation was gonna play out is to ask, why sit and blame yourself over that? That's in fact my wristband up above to say who I am, in case anybody want to know. And me featuring even her own video of what she does, and that's me above as well, right? And so yeah, you can't, that's not gonna work. You being sick and blaming yourself over you say spending money on something that you need. Remember, that's a gift to yourself, to go out and buy a camera, whether it was expensive or not, and then you have a situation where a tow truck comes later. It's to say you in fact might want to treat yourself, and even that with the camera, because you never know. You may wake up tomorrow, yes, Asia, you may not. We don't even know what that is. To keep hope alive in that. You might look up one day and the two lungs might in fact be there awaiting you, right? It's endurance with all this, but you should be able to treat yourself sometime of the day and not be waiting. Yes, not sitting, yes, with even that thinking, well, blaming yourself. Oh, well, I spent the money on the camera, I just feel so bad. No, that's a gift to self. Because life is short, and even that. It truly is. Life is completely short, and even that. So if a camera was a gift to yourself, then congratulations on that. Because if you don't have the camera, and say whatever camera that you had clonk out, it's to say you're gonna in fact have needed a new camera anyway. That's just is. I get frustrated by stuff like that, because to see and watch her suffering is at its worst with that, as her condition. That needs to be stated, because if you had the old camera, if she would have had the old camera and say that camera would have blew out or something like that, is to say she would have needed a new one anyway on the upgrade. So just let that stand as it is, as in your brother helped you out, and just leave that be. You might in fact need something else where family might in fact have to help you. It might get to a point where you might say, well, I don't want to take showers no more, I'm tired. And you might just want to lay there. Somebody's going to have to help you, yes, with a bucket of water or whatever. Not a bucket of water, but a sponge bath or something like that to help you with that. So just leave that alone. People got to understand, when you're getting in situations like this, people have to understand that it is what it is. She's still there in the hospital. Yes, she is. If anybody's asking, she's still there. For people that's watching me, why not, instead of while you're watching me, why not possibly try and send her something? Subscribe to her. Yes, that's nice and lovely. Yes, it is. But possibly send her something in the form of the GoFundMe. That page I showed you in the beginning of this video, in the starting. Why not? Because it's nice for an individual such as her, Asia, to sit and show you the experience, right? That's nice enough, the lesson aspect of somebody showing you that. But at the same time, once again, I said this in the beginning of my video, it also helps to give something with that. The good deed, whether the lungs meet her or they don't, right? Whether the lungs meet her or if they don't, she's coming to the conclusion as an acceptance of what a situation may or may not be. I'm repeating that, and that needs to be stated as well, right? For me, I don't know. I'm not one to just say sit and watch a person talk, say like sick people. I'm not talking about healthy people. I ain't even talking about Discovery. I'm talking about individuals such as this, as in you know where to contact them, as in you know where to go to give them something. That's not gonna work to just say, oh, I'll watch, because some people are followers, and even that, they just sit and go over here and congregate, talk about such and such, and yet they don't do nothing to help the situation. That's not gonna work. And it helps not to be a follower. I'm a leader at everything I do. Whether if no media team would ever want to air her, as in showing her off the way that I'm doing. You got some when somebody was asking, well, couldn't the news have showed her? Couldn't they? Whatever. Some of them are. I'm not gonna fully say that they're losers, as in the news. I'm not gonna fully, because I don't know where they focus at, and yet even some of them could get it together. The news, this sort of thing might in fact not show, not the logo up above, not that, but this sort of thing, such as her story, might not gain ratings, and yet an individual like me don't really get caught up in all that. Not 24 hours a day. That's not going to work. A rating system can in fact feed you, right? But you got to come real sometime of the day, because if not, people like this that's out there known to die off when people don't sit and pay attention and support and help with that. Help them as well. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna never work, because to put myself in somebody else's shoes is to say, well, if I work for media, if I work for anything, and say that was to hit me, how would I feel about that? How would I in fact feel if a situation like this was to hit me? I'm more than likely, if I work for Discovery, or if I work for NBC or Fox News, CNN, I'm more than likely will want myself placed all over the coverage. Yes, so even my fans or whoever can know that, look, I got sick and I'm in a hospital bed and this and this and that. So why not do the same thing for other people that might not have it that good, is what I'm trying to say. That's not gonna work on my end. I'm known to piss all type of people off, and let me piss them off, because I call out the losers for what it is. It's in fact some losers that work for some of these media companies out here. Outside of Discovery does very good things, and does it very well pertaining to even children that even the mass public don't even know about. Philanthropy and all the rest, and giving stuff, yes, outside of just for educational purposes. Researchers, getting researchers to help to try to cure some of this stuff like a Asia is suffering with. You got Discovery and all that. Not everybody does that work in media. They just want to sit around and be seen and heard, thinking, well, I can be a celebrity and this, and nobody cares. I don't even care. Which could be why I'm not watching you. I don't sit around just watching random stuff, and more so losers. That ain't gonna work. That's not, if they are over at a news station and they're not showing stuff like this, that ain't gonna never work. That shows then where my mindset is. I'm a privileged individual on the privilege of my end to show off somebody else that don't have it as good as me. That ain't gonna never work. I know I'm angry and bitter, and I should be, because to not be angry and bitter enough is to never get anywhere in life. As in leading be the example, as even leaving messages to an individual like this to tell her, you don't sit over there thinking you at fault for any of this. No, you don't sit over there trying to give up with any of this. No, you don't sit up here and blame yourself because you can't do what needs to be done for you, such as you need to allow family to do that. That's how you take care of that. You tell a person, even her, about herself, no, you need to in fact sit back and relax like you need to do. That trying to do all this and trying to do all that ain't gonna work. And for them nurses that be trying to force you to do all, tell them to fuck off as well. As in, get out the room, push them out the room and let them be that. As in, you might not say whatever, but let your mother handle all that. Because ain't no mother gonna sit and let their child that look like, in a sense that she's almost dying somewhat, ain't no mother gonna play no role in that. Letting some lame fuck loser nurse that don't know what they doing come in your room trying to tell you, and you sick with all this and that, what you need. No, that nurse might in fact need to get pushed all the way up out of the room. Matter of fact, tell them nurses that don't know what they doing to bring the doctor into the room, because that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna never work. That's a standstill in itself. It's called failure, as in where some of these nurses don't know what the hell that they be doing. So if they don't, Tell them, sorry, ma'am, or could you leave for a second and buzz to the doctor and have him come in the room. And that will settle all of that and the failure hood at that. That's just how I am. I don't get into a lot of stupid stuff with people. That's just not my role. That ain't gonna never be my role. Because it's been doctors and all the rest I've had to tell off and cuss out in the process, right? I'm saying the losers, but with one of these situations, you wouldn't want to do that. But with a nurse, possibly, as in get them out the room. Because if you ain't got the right nurse in your room, it's to say death could await you in that. Remember, a nurse don't hold as much power as a doctor do. And so if they don't know what they doing, is to get them up out of the room and get them quickly. Because a quick death could come with that. You don't want those type of people around you. Because let me tell you, some of these nurses, in fact, sit on their phone doing nothing on Facebook and on Instagram all day, watching other people all day. Which could be the reason why they don't know what they're doing to begin with. That ain't gonna work. That ain't ever gonna work. I call everybody out. Let me call and piss some people off until I get over there where a CNN is enough to show my face. Who all needs to be called out, including some of these failure lame ass nurses that don't do their job, and yet they sit on the job, sitting up here, yes, watching Beyonce and Jay-Z as well. That ain't gonna help them, as in you need to be on your P's and I's and Q's and all the rest, trying to help this individual. Yes, with that. That's why the nurse is there. The nurse ain't supposed to be there to be playing no stupid game. That ain't gonna never work. Because tragedy can come in that. And she wouldn't want nobody, or he wouldn't want nobody, none of these nurses, they wouldn't want none of that for their family member. Trust and believe. Listen to me when I say some of these nurses or whoever, not the doctor, no, the nurses. Some of them, when they sit around being lazy bums and them not doing nothing, watching in on even her to make sure everything is right, they wouldn't want their family members to be going through a struggle and question if they gonna die. When Asia wake up and go to sleep, you never know what is on her mind. If she questions if she's gonna be able to live through all this. And so me saying that, ain't no nurse gonna want her family member going through that, or her mom or her dad going through. Hell no. They might more than likely be cussing all them nurses out to get them to scatter up out the room. See what I'm saying? Helps to put yourself in other people's shoes sometime and shed the light on even that. As in the applause pertaining to a celebrated. Even Asia herself need to be celebrated a little bit more. I'm saying. Because I'm saying that because to lay and fight for something, as in you're fighting for life to stay alive, is to say you in fact need to be celebrated and appreciated. Who don't know that? Some people don't. I'm saying I'm showing you off. Dear Asia. Because I don't take too well to situations like this. I don't. Because as whatever is happening, I'm wondering, well, where's everybody else and what are they doing? People that ain't got no time they got all the world time on their hands and yet ain't doing nothing and sitting around watching petty people getting involved in petty things. It's to say, once again, I said this in the opening, those people should in fact be trying to find out, well, what hospital is she at? If she needs something, this is in fact my number. As in, there should be a compiled listing numbers of people's phone numbers. Look, Asia, if you need whatever, call me. I will make it a point. Yes, I might not live in the same city and state, and yet this is my number if you just want to talk to somebody and cry in the phone. People like this need that sort of thing. They in fact need that sort of thing. Well, I don't really know you all like that, right? And yet you over there fighting for life. Here's my number. We don't live in the same state or whatever. Possibly not even same zip code, whatever, right? But this is my number. If you just want to get on the phone and say cry and scream and let the doctors and the nurses all down the corridor hear you do that in the phone to me, is to say I will allow you to do that thing. Because remember, you're fighting for your own life. That's how you handle that. Many of these people that's sitting around doing nothing, they should be in fact, yes, checking on these people like this. Taking in flowers, cards, find out if they're allergic to that sort of thing. Yes, first. and take that to them. You may or may not be able to visit her because of the simple fact how her lungs is and how her antibodies can be, her immune system and all that plays into that, as in who's allowed to visit and who is not, right? And say if you can or you can't, putting on something, putting on gloves, that you gotta in fact be real clean, very clean. And I don't mean taking a bath or a shower, but having your hands clean, your face clean, and then possibly covered in all that face mask to not go in and give her something that can kill her off quicker or something like that. You would in fact have to cover up and robe up real quick, real good, like a doctor that's about to go in doing a surgery in order to visit somebody like this, because you can pass something off to her, and that will be the end of that. That's what I'm saying, pertains to if somebody wanted to visit her or whatnot. Her being in Houston, Texas. Let me go down in her description section right quick. Oops. Because that's the GoFundMe link. When I said about, you can see that Houston, Texas, she has a P.O. box. Anybody want to write that down if you're interested in writing that down, or even sharing her story, because even that will work, despite me getting pissed off and disrespecting the haters and all that. They need to be told, because some of them, if they ain't doing whatever, they just gonna remain wherever they sit. You can write her P.O. box number down, her P.O. box address, in case you want to send some gifts to her. She need them. Teddy bears, whatever, right? Girls like and all that, right? Go through her videos and see what she likes, what all she likes. That in fact will help as well. You don't ever know how stuff like that make people feel better when they know that they're going through a deep, dark struggle. Because even depression, yes, sometimes stands in that. Not knowing whether you gonna live or make it through or something like that. Depression could in fact stand in the weight of Asia like that. So yes, to get on yo too with that is to send her something. The P.O. box is right there. I got it sitting right there so that you can see. Because to be in a hospital room, do you know how that feels to be laying up in a hospital room and hospital bed all day for hours on end, knowing you can't even go home, take a hot bath, take a hot shower, do any of that? One of the two, right? Or possibly able to walk up and open your own refrigerator, sleep in your own bed at night, to be able to walk, yes, and pull the handle on your own refrigerator just to make you a hot meal, salad, whatever you choose to make, right? It's to say, well, man, I'm home. And not everybody has that privilege if they're stuck in a hospital room or hospital bed. Not everybody has that sort of privilege, right? And yet, once again, to make somebody like this feel better is to send them something which makes them feel at home. You got some people out here, older women, that in fact crochet, where they make blankets and stuff like that. They make blankets. I'm sure somebody, her mother, because see, everything has to be sterile with her, sterilized and all that, washed and kept clean or whatnot. Even if somebody was to crochet a blanket or something and send it to her, I'm sure even her mother will be able to wash it, whatever, when it needs to be washed outside of the hospital or something. Or a pillow or something like that, some type of specialty pillow that she might like, something. I'm thinking you would want to send something to make her feel at home or something. Because that's almost a sterile feeling, a sterile feeling in a sense in itself. That when I say sterile like that, I don't mean sterilization and what I was speaking on pertaining to, yes, the beginning of the video. Not like that. When I say sterile, living and staying in the hospitals, and then you got to eat hospital food. You got to eat hospital food, take hospital showers, lay in a hospital bed. Yes, there's a remote which she sit next to. She lays next to all day where she can move the bed up and down. And yet it ain't nothing, once again, being in your own bed, right? She got to use a hospital shower and toilet and sink and all that. How does hospital food taste? Is it good or bad? I don't even know. Which is why sometimes family, in fact, drop food off to her, stuff that she like, and they even drop off little specialty stuff that she might go for, right? But when you're being, say, far away and you're sending stuff to her by P.O. box, as she has it set up, is to send something that she might in fact enjoy, to make her feel comfortable while she's there. Because a sterile, when I say sterile, I'm getting back to that again, that means almost to be, when I put it like that, sterile, it means almost like it's stripped of something. How you be somewhere and you're stripped of everything which represents you, as in everything's taken away. You don't have your car, you don't have your home there, nothing. It's like almost your whole identity have been taken from you. It's a flatness in that, laying in a hospital room. Yes, in that. Laying around in a hospital room, it's almost a sterile feeling with that, right? There's no comfort is what I'm trying to say. There can never be no comfort in that. Never. None. No. She needs to do that as well. Her wearing the clothes that she got on that represents what she would wear if she had a regular average everyday normal home life, right? She in fact needs to do that. Some of her home stuff needs to more than likely be there, yes, on the home front, or even a hospital stay. Wearing normal clothes sometimes, doing normal things sometimes, outside of that hospital activity of being forced to put on a gas mask or facial mask for your lungs and all that I'm saying that's needed in order for her to survive. But some stuff in fact needs to be there as well, as in that whatever she was doing at home, that needs to be incorporated in that hospital room. That's gonna be the only thing that's gonna keep her alive, is what I'm trying to say. Staying in the hospital room to keep somebody alive that's living through this type of situation is to incorporate things in the room that represent home. I'm repeating myself, and I should. To have this on, the outfit like this, and the clothes, yes, people like to even if she want to dress up or something. Females go for that sort of thing. That's not me, and yet this is her story I'm speaking on. I kind of leave myself out of the equation. But just something. Put on a nice dress. Put on some nice heels. She might not be able to do that, or however you like to have somebody do your hair or something like that. That's going to keep you alive a lot longer. Because what that does, that would in fact override and overpass the hospital stay. I'm saying it brings normalcy in. It makes everything more normal, and you're not feeling like you're chained up somewhere in some jail somewhere, and you're just only there, say, surviving and existing. I'm saying she needs to, with that phone or whatever that she owns, she might in fact need to put Skype or something on her phone or something like that, communication wise, to be able to communicate with more people outside of the hospital, outside of just these videos. I'm saying people have Snapchat, they have Skype and all that, but I'm saying in video footage of her being able to talk back and forth with somebody in communication outside of just the YouTube, because that will keep her alive as well, knowing that somebody is there able to talk back and see somebody that's outside they're outside of family, as in their supporters, able to. Somebody need to set that up for her, so that she can because see, this is one way to point a position of with me working in mass media, to point a position of you positioning a camera and you're talking to that camera, is to say the conversation is one way, except for when somebody come and they comment on the YouTube, right? And yet the conversation is still one way, despite her being able to respond back. And yet something is telling me more that she needs to get on something else outside of, she needs to stay on YouTube, yes, but she needs to get on something more outside of just the YouTube itself, as in add something and throw something else in there with it. People really don't use Skype like that no more, and yet I do. Business, I use that for Skype business, right? But there's all type of social communication apps, devices where you can talk back and forth. I think that's what should be going on, just enough not to tire her out, Asia not to tire her out as she's laying in this bed, because you do in fact want to allow her to have rest, as in giving her days and all that, off days to rest and all that other stuff. But just something there, I'm thinking, so that she can communicate with people that might want to talk and see her directly, in place of her just, say, doing the YouTube videos, possibly adding something else on with that, I'm thinking. Because that will make her feel so much more better, I'm thinking it would for Asia. She might already have that already, and yet I don't know if she does. I don't know how she does her editing with her videos and all the rest with this. But just in case, if she did do something live, not really, I'm not saying a live stream, but if she was talking back and forth, I just use Skype for an example. I just use that for an example. But communicating with her, people that's watching her, supporting her, and say she recorded that and showed it or something, somebody would have to possibly set that up for her or something. Or even if she didn't want to do it like that, where say other people can see it the way that they see her on YouTube. If say she didn't want people to see her communicating with another person, like say on a Skype or a Duo, which is Verizon. I got Verizon, so I say Duo, right? How you chat back and forth with people on the screen, and I can possibly put it in my video so people can see me talking to that person. See how she's sitting there crying? YouTube is in fact fine for that, and yet I just still sense and believe there needs to be something more outside of YouTube for her, and the support where she can see them on the camera as she's talking to them, and they can see her. And it's more so in real time, and I don't mean live. I'm saying they can see all this, her crying, and they can be able to say something back to her, and directly outside of a comment section. That's needed. Yes, it is. And yet I think something like that will be more better for her. The interaction, I'm saying, it will be much more better, because see, it will be right in the moment. How these videos are made before and then the comments come later. But if she has something where all them supporters are leaving comments and they can talk directly to her, or even possibly what is it, where you do a conference call, you got 3 or 4 people that can conference call with you, and say she's on there talking to them, and 3 or 4 people is able to say something back to her that possibly may or may not be too much, and yet that will show fully that the support is there outside of just the YouTube. Something like that needs to be set up for her. Whether her mom, I don't know if her mom would do that on her phone, or even if she would do that, or even how she would feel about that. But the reason why I'm saying that is because of being in the hospital and be laid up in a bed, sometimes it feel like you might feel like you're alone. You will in fact feel like you're alone, like you're in a jail cell alone. And you might feel like the doctors don't understand you. You might feel like the nurses don't understand you. You might feel at times like your family don't understand you, and yet to have supporters there is to say, well, let me mount something there, Skype or something, that I can talk directly back and forth, and we can see each other. We can see right in the moment each other, and they can say whatever while I'm crying to them about me going through this struggle. They might in fact have family that's going through the same lupus scenario. You don't know, right? That's why I'm saying that, because to feel alone is real, and some lupus, that ain't gonna work. But YouTube in fact serves its purposes. She would in fact want to keep that there, the vlog itself, and the telling a story of that. But sometimes it helps to even be more real in the feature, as in putting somebody else there, somebody's face, even if it's multiple people. 3 people on the conference call, and y'all all can see each other. And Asia can see you, and y'all all see each other and offer support, because you never know what you want to discuss outside of that while you're talking to this beautiful young female. You never know what else more she might have to say outside of even just her struggle. She might just want to talk about average everyday girlfriend type of stuff. And sometimes that helped to get the conversation going. Say if there was a Skype or something, or whatever video stuff that people like to communicate on. Even if she would, it's the same. Somebody else might throw in there, well, what else can we talk about? We can talk about this or we can talk about that, right? And then while they're doing it, she's in the center of wanting to talk as well with that. That gets her away, just a ways away from the hospital stay, despite her being there, stuck in the situation, right? That would help bring her out even more away from that. That's not saying she will be trying to escape that, no, because remember, living life as that is to say you can't escape it, but that would help her somewhat detach from the pain and stuff like that. Being able to talk. She's possibly texting. Doing stuff in text form, that's cool. Doing stuff in YouTube form, that's cool. It's even better, right? Because it shows and paints a picture of the struggle, what's happening. And yet chatting with people and you being able to open up and them being able to open up is to say you never know who might in fact come and drop in on the stay. As in why she's staying there. Who might she chat with and them being able to see each other as they see her face and she see their face. You never know who might in fact drop in on her. That could be a new friend or something. You don't know with that. See, I do stuff, all the useful stuff. And I do things the right way. Many people don't. Many people, I know I'm a selfish person. I care a lot about my feelings. I say that. Pertaining to outside of Asia videos, when I be talking about missing children, outside of that, shouts out to Cece, not saying that, but when it comes to other stuff of me saying, calling whoever out, whatever, who needs to do what, and me trying to do whatever, I gotta drive forward. And even that, as in when I be caring, when I say, oh well, I don't care about nobody feeling but my own, and me saying stuff, because I be noticing I'm the first to be getting on the camera saying what I'm going to say, even if I make myself look stupid or whatever in the process. And yet not many people take the chance. Why wouldn't you want to show off somebody else some time of the day? Show off their life and their world and they struggle. People is in fact struggling much more deeper than you could even ever imagine. I'm saying there's some people you wouldn't say that they're below you in the struggle. No, you wouldn't, because to be human is to say both of y'all are on the same level, right? And yet to watch somebody go through something much more worse is to say, what do you have? What do you have? And where you at in your life enough to even say brag about even them? Even if they situations is in the worst or worse, what can you do to even brag in a point of position of bragging to show them off? Showing off their world. When I say brag, showing them off. That's in fact a brag as well. As in, look at this individual. She's going through a struggle, and yet I'm going to show you she might in fact be much more better than you. Because she's fighting for something, whereas other people give up. The losers give up on the stupid, petty. That's a brag as well. So it's a call out and shout out. I got to do that. That's just something I do, right? Bragging about other people. Even if they not in the best condition. That's just showing off. Somebody might say, well, can't you show me off? You don't want to show me off? Well, not if you ain't doing whatever needs to be done and you ain't going to fight for life. Possibly not. No. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work, because I like looking at real authentic, real life people. Didn't I say that already? Does Discovery do that? Me being with Discovery? Do any of us with Discovery do that sort of thing? Showing off real life and real people and real situations? Just enough for you to learn and take it in and say, wow, I might in fact need to work on myself with that. I'm saying. Watching somebody else that don't have it as good as, when I say good, I'm saying the living situation pertaining to just living and existing with that. Not having lungs and not knowing what could happen with that is to say they don't really have it at its best, right? That would in fact show you what you need to be trying to improve on your end. As in, to not make flying fuck excuses of what you can't do. Asia is there to show you that sort of thing. As in, the excuses are no longer working. I'm sorry, that ain't gonna work. She's in fact there to teach you. You ain't, for all these losers that want to make an excuse. Well, this, and I'll be thinking to myself, ain't none of y'all laying in this type of situation that she's in with her lungs, needing lungs. How about this, for the losers that don't want to do nothing, as in yes, make an improvement on their life? How about they just go die off and give her their lungs or something? Give her their lungs. I'm thinking that should be a go or something, because that ain't gonna work. Saying, well, you know, when I asked, well, why ain't you doing this? You said you had dreams to do this and you had dreams to do that, and none of them is doing it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, Asia is looking for some lungs. We might in fact need to cut whoever, the loser over there, open and take their lungs and put them in her body, because at least she's trying to improve and do better, and yet many individuals are not. They just use excuses. That ain't gonna work. Yes, life can in fact be unfair, as in where I see people that don't do right and they stand wasting time with that sort of thing, not doing what they're supposed to do, right? It's to say that yes, I think about that as well in my private time, in which I don't say. Remember, these is blogs, so I just air out, yes, the specifics of what I be thinking, of how life can be unfair, or how you got people that be fighting for life, and yet some of them people, many of them people, have did nothing wrong. They be killed in tragedy, sitting here like Asia fighting for life. And then you got losers that walk around as serial killers. Yes, walking around as serial killers, killing people and getting out of jail. I got a family member right now, a desperate family member, yes, by blood, who in fact has a boyfriend or whatever you're going to call it, and he's in fact a serial killer. He just got released from jail. Why would you want to be dealing with that? That is a no-go. That's a flawed on his own. Flawed system, as in a flawed individual too, that wants to be with that man, as in once he moves into her house, my aunt's house, that man is going to in fact be registered. His name is Nathaniel Cook. If you never heard of Nathaniel Cook, look him up, pertaining to Ohio and serial killers. He killed a 12-year-old girl, threw a cinder block on her head to kill her, but raped her before, and killed other individuals. Why would you want to be? That ain't gonna make no sense. He's a loser, as in he needs to die off, and that individual like that might in fact need to donate, yes, his lungs, or maybe not. You might not want to give his lungs to her, Asia. But still, that I'm speaking on losers, as in that don't work. The unfairness of life. How you got people that be doing all type of things and yet they get to live, and then you got people like Asia that's gotta suffer. People that just be doing random stupid stuff. Serial killers and all this other stuff. Going out and robbing banks for no reason. Or what else? What other type of stuff? Missing children. Kidnapping children that have been alive and well, just living amongst us, roaming the earth. And then next you know, some random person want to kidnap them. That's unfair. I mean, I'm speaking about all unfair here on earth. And you're questioning God, because I question all the time that some of this stuff be highly unfair. And then you got them over there doing all the corruption of all kind, and then you got an Asia that's just sitting there here trying to figure out what comes next pertaining to these lungs. That's the unfairness of life. It is. And so to know that it can be like that is for me to pay attention to all the right things. As in, leave the losers where they're at, because that ain't gonna work. I said that before. Me, I'm the type of individual, I might in fact kill all them losers off, as in them serial killers over there that's taking these babies and doing whatever with them, knowing that they're babies. That's unfair to life itself. Hell, it's unfair to God as well, as in the creator that done created them babies. When I be making my missing children videos, and I'm thinking to myself, what in the world? That ain't gonna ever work. No, that's not going to ever work. So what I need to do is focus on my lane right here and leave all that stupidity over there, as in them losers. What even that ain't going to work. Pay attention to something more real and authentic on top of that, because society is getting a little bit too out of hand, let me tell you. That's messed up. That's completely messed up. When I said I'd be sharing stuff about my family, I'm thinking to myself, my one family member, why would you want to go get with a serial killer? I said look him up. Ohio is a state. His name is Nathaniel Cook. You can look him up. Randomly killing people. And a 12-year-old child. And yet my aunt, yes, by blood, want to go and get with that man. Why would you want? And now he has to be ordered to register in with the state as a sex offender. He's not allowed to be around children, and yet who knows what's with that, because even she has grandkids, little grandkids. But she's going to move him into her home, and not only that, I checked her a few years back. Why would you want to get with that? That ain't gonna work. But because see, a man like him might in fact wake up one day and you roll over in bed and look, and he might in fact be wanting to kill you. That ain't gonna work. Those are losers. You want to not be doing. No, that ain't gonna work. And then he's allowed to leave. You don't know. Oh, trust and believe on Facebook, I in fact posted about that, as in the message. That was one of the #1 messages as soon as I woke up, because I couldn't even sleep thinking about it. For the simple fact, he's gonna be moving into my auntie's home, and she's comfortable with that. Something is wrong over there with her mindset. He's released and free and all that, right? That ain't no safe comfort in that. I didn't find that funny. I posted on Facebook, look, I'm going to need her not to contact me and not even contact my grandmother, because that's unsafe. And not only that, whoever in the family is seeing this as well as reading this is to keep your children away, not only from my auntie, but that serial killer that is now living in her house. Because you don't know. That ain't going to ever work. That's not going to work. People like that being released from jail after they done served 20-something years. He was in fact supposed to get capital punishment and yet never did. He's still alive. Was supposed to get capital punishment or be put to death, and he's allowed to roam free, as in walk the day air as well as the night air, doing whatever, right? I can't stand too close to that. That's not gonna work. So what I do is leave them with all that and leave my aunt with all that and focus on people such as this right here. This individual that's trying to live. Yes. That ain't gonna work. I'm highly in disbelief that my auntie would even go that far. Getting with a serial killer. What? When I'm sitting on this camera making videos about serial killers and you go get with one, that ain't gonna work. That's stupidity on the end. The unfairness of life. So this individual Asia may or may not make it, yes, and even her last breath, and the innocence with that on her end, and yet a serial killer is right in my family, as in what my auntie chose to be her man. That ain't gonna work. Silly, stupid, whatever, right? That's completely not going to work. So I focus on things that has meaning, because for even my aunt to get with a serial killer, so no, something is wrong with not only her mindset, and also as well as something wrong with her logic, as well as her being able to make the right choices. So stuff like that I in fact stay away from. That ain't gonna serve me anything. That's not gonna serve me nothing. That never could and never can. And I'm in disgust at even thinking about it. Disgusted thinking about that. So God is going to allow a serial killer to just roam free, and we got to stand amongst it being a public, and then you have a Asia sitting here and not knowing whether she's going to breed tomorrow. That's completely unfair in life, I'm saying. Family going to be mad about that. But family can't be too mad, because remember, when my aunt, before she got with the man, she was dating him, and she wanted to tell me, oh, well, whoever, he said that the system lied about him. How could the system lie about him? There's DNA and all that other stuff pertaining to a record, as in who was where and why raping these young whatever and killing them off. Can never want me. I'm saying they can be mad at me saying, airing out my auntie, I love her and all that, but at the same time, as I say, all that has already been portrayed on the news. So ain't even no shame on me opening my mouth saying. Because like I told my grandmother, I don't want that man to be thinking that, okay, well, that's her aunt, right? So their aunt, she's the aunt by blood, and yet I don't want him to ever think. Yes, because men, crazy men, to be a serial killer is to say something is wrong with you mentally, right? I don't ever want that man to think over there living with my aunt and he's a serial killer. He's killed multiple people, him and his brother, Nathaniel Cook. What's the other one's name? Nathaniel Cook, and I can't even think of, you can look them up. Google it. Nathaniel Cook, that's all I know is his name, and it's a brother. They close ties with that is, and then they was randomly killing young people, right? So I don't want that man to think, like I told my grandmother and family, I don't want, because I'm a tomboy, I don't ever want that man to think that, okay, well, she said that their niece, that's her niece, but what if that's really her lover? I don't want that man serial killer to ever think and sense and feel that about me, that, oh, maybe she's lying saying that that's her auntie and maybe they're in fact lovers because she is more man and more masculine than the woman that I'm with. So maybe they're in fact secret lovers, and then he tried to come over here killing me. Oh no. I push all that back and away from me, as in no close ties with that. I'm sorry, dear auntie, I love you, but no, that can't be a part of my world, not ever. That ain't gonna work. Because see, an individual like me, I gotta be straightforward and direct. That yes, it's unfair that life will allow a criminal such as him to walk free and then allow an individual like this to die off. That's for me to say I might in fact kill him. Nathaniel Cook, as in him being too close to me and not knowing, as in a fear. People like me in fact not fear certain things, and yet I would standing too close to that man, as in me having to get rid of him. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work, to be standing nowhere at no family reunion and it's a serial killer there. I'm thinking more likely my family wouldn't even show up. We're having a family reunion next year, and yet to be standing too close to him at the family reunion is to say you never know what you might have. Blood on my hands, because I don't want that close to me. I'm saying there's a fear reflex, how people get fearful, and them thinking, well, show is unfair that Asia has to die so young if she's on the way to dying. It's so fair to life. It's unfair with life that this individual has to live and possibly die this way, and yet serial killers are allowed to walk amongst us, be free. There's fear in that, as in me getting rid of a Nathaniel Cook or whatever. Because I don't want that close to me. I don't know. Something like that might in fact try to hurt my niece or my nephew or somebody. I don't like stuff like that. I never have. That's just so unfair. That's completely unfair. It needs to be said in the operation of the topics. Yes, where I even changed up on even that. You, the viewer, possibly recognize that as in, man, she was talking about one thing, now she talking about something else. Yes, because I'm telling you where life can in fact be unfair. That's not gonna work. Or that ain't gonna work. How does that happen? Somebody might need to go knock on God's door and ask. How is people, because see, people a lot of times they do want to tell you, well, you know, God feels this or that. Well, I would love to know about that sort of situation, as in she's allowed to say possibly die slowly if that's what's happening, and yet many of these serial killers and random losers, they get to live, and yet they don't. What I'm trying to say, they don't give nothing meaningful to society. The individuals that just walk around here that did something tragically with people, them people get to live, and yet they don't add nothing meaningful to society. That ain't gonna work. Not in my world. I don't like stuff like that. They don't give nothing meaningful, and yet many of these children are in fact dying slowly, and some of them quick, having terminal illnesses and all of that, and not being allowed to grow up and flourish. And because see, even the Asia or either one of them being sick like this is to say they can more than likely become something bigger and better other than themselves, outside of themselves doing things, if they were only given the opportunity and the chance in that. And yet scum of the earth is allowed to walk amongst us, and yet they don't do nothing but sit around, waste time, and be nothing. And the serial killers go in with that. They don't add nothing to society. Why is that? I would so love to know. Why is individuals like that giving nothing to society, not playing no role to society? Why are they allowed to just be amongst us, and then these children, babies, die of terminal illnesses? Some of them in fact die straight out of the womb. come out and then they're born with cancer, born with AIDS or HIV or something like that, and then they only live a few months, and then next thing you know, they're dead. And yet people that don't do nothing good towards society, they're allowed to live forever. As in, they just take up space and waste with that, right? That I don't like stuff like that. That don't work out. That's completely torturous. I'm saying in my mind, me thinking about it, because I get livid in that. I do. The grieving process, I'm saying. And the turmoil with even that, as in the knowing, well, that's strange that person is young and they died. They didn't harm nobody. They didn't even do nothing. And yet serial killers, they get to live and walk free. And then they're barred or whatever from entering. They're in fact, yes, they can't leave out certain cities and all states and all stuff like that. They can't travel around, right? And yet they're still allowed to be given freedom, as in they can watch whatever they want to watch on TV. They can smoke weed if they want to. Sit, smoke weed, drink, play cards, whatever. That's unfair. That ain't gonna work. I don't like stuff like that. They in fact need to change that. That's not right. The point on the message is the point correct, as in what I just did and said. Were you the listener just realize what I just said about putting two stories together pertaining to someone, yes, suffering and may or may not die quickly or slowly with this lupus and needing double lung transplant, and then you got killers and all these other lame fuck people, yes, lame fuck losers that ain't doing nothing. Why you gotta have somebody fighting for life and crying on the camera in this scene, and then all them losers, serial killers, they get to laugh how they got away whatever crime. Crooked criminals laughing, getting away over what they done did and got over on somebody less fortunate than them. And possibly, yes, left them for dead, and even that. That's not funny. I don't like stuff like that. People need to get up and do something. This is her struggle every single day of the week. No block involved, as in there's no corners outside of the world of the hospital. That's what I'm trying to say. Who wants to live like that every day? Some people can't with that. They'll possibly be trying to get the doctor to overdrug them to put them to sleep, so that can be the end of that, as in suicide, or you got some where people have terminal illnesses. They would in fact, yes, request a doctor, like a Dr. Kevorkian type of person, like a Dr. Kevorkian type, right? To end their life soon, because to be going through pain and suffering like that is to ask over and over daily, how long is it gonna last? And when is it gonna be over? That stuff like that, people question themselves when ain't nobody around. That's too much. It really is. She's got her cute little Louis Vuitton bag. Now that's one thing. I don't even really get into luxurious stuff like that, and yet I would if I needed a bag like that to carry my stuff in. She was showing her hair. I was gone from the chemo, I think. Trying to skip through. My internet just slowed down for a second. She is so cute. She is. Let me pause. I don't think that's supposed to be like that. That green showing up the way it did could be buffering or something. The internet used to buffer back in the day with way back in the day, dial up, how I used to buffer. That could be one of those things that where the screen went green. That's a sad situation. And it's so weird when they feel like, I don't want to sit and watch that, like, that just makes me too sad. Well, maybe it should, because in case of it creeps up on you, you will know possibly how to deal with it, because she's showing you how she deals with it. That's a 2-for-1. That's to show the suffering and the lesson, as in what you take away from things. That video right there where she felt like she was being a burden, that ain't gonna work. To be that sick is to possibly be a burden. Yes, you need to be. Possibly to be that sick is to be a burden on everybody around you, and you should. So yeah, her channel is available to be seen, recognized, and all the rest. I pointed that out. If you want to like and subscribe to that, I just wanted to share some of that. I did. So I think that's all to be said for now. That's too young. That is completely too young. And you do have babies that be much more younger than her going through that, which is so sad. Yes, completely. It was, because I remember this guy was saying his who was that? Somebody in his family, they was like 7 months or something like that. They was in fact born with cancer. How are you born with cancer? The baby didn't live that long. That's how it happens. So I'm on Investigation Discovery. Yes, we are right here on the Investigation Discovery platform in itself. Some of the shows you may or may not have recognized, depending on if you are a consistent viewer of Investigation Discovery. I can't get my words out, possibly because I'm hungry, right? But if you're a consistent viewer of Investigation Discovery, you may or may not have seen many of these shows. Who knows, right? And so I'm saying, if you're an ID addict, the way that I am, an ID addict, that's just Investigation Discovery addict. People that are obsessive with Investigation Discovery. So we have the shows that are recommended for you. They stand right here. You can go through each one. Fatal Vows, Homicide Hunter, Lieutenant Joe Kenda, that's my dude. American Monster, got Evil Lives Here, Still a Mystery. Either one of the shows, when you scroll over on top, is going to in fact give you a little bit description of each show, just to let you know what it is on, right? Perfect Murder, Someone You Thought You Knew. Those are all recommended shows for you. And then when you scroll down, Unlocked Episodes, you can scroll over those as well. Fatal Vows is that gives you the description. Sugar Town, Someone You Thought You Knew, which is just a repetition of what I showed you above. The Perfect Murder, Bizarre Love Triangle, you can read that in the description. Bad Henry. Also the ID Go, you would in fact find Bad Henry. Yes, Bad Henry is in the ID Go. Investigation Discovery Go, as in the app. Yes, I just repeated that again. Yes, just to make sure you caught it and catch it, right? That's in fact a good app. On the Case, you got that. Let's go down. On Last Night. These are shows that were in fact, yes, on last night. See this where it says expiring in 6 days. Pamela Smart. My ear. My headphones, because they be so tight. That's why I'm sorry, pulling on it. Maybe these headphones be real tight on my face. And real huge. So yes, On Last Night, that will tell you what was. The Killer Closer. You would in fact see a key. And anytime you see the key, it's to know you got to sign in. That's to let you know it's in fact a goodie. It is. Signing in. Women in Prison, the real talk of that. stories, each individual having their own story. Life is about real life stories to begin with. ID original series. Most evil ranked. Evil lives here. Reasonable doubt. Did that one pop up? Okay. Dead North interrogation. You got the show disappeared. Right there. Gone in an instant. Missing individuals. Yes. Deadly women as well. That's another one. You can go anywhere across abroad, yes, YouTube, and search out investigation discovery. And you, in fact, will, yes, find the quick hits, deadly women, quick hits, as in how somebody put a hit on something, right? But, yeah, not that. But, yes, that's a play on words. Investigation discovery, deadly women, quick hits. If you search that out on YouTube, you, in fact, with the quick hits, it will show you just a little bit about each show in relation to that, which is why it's titled Quick Hits. Quick Hits is letting you know. The crime feed news, that is there. I showed you that. Crimes, red crimes, the wine club. My dog is starting to bark. He does that almost at every time I'm about to end out the video. A newsletter, discovery newsletter. That's all to be had about that. So the dog does in fact bark every time I'm in and out, because it's a closing session. That's what I'm trying to say. As in, the bar is now closed. The bar. No alcohol involved. So, yeah, I think I'll be back with even that. And I'm, in fact, gone in 1, 2, 3, 4. I was supposed to go in reverse, wasn't I? But, yeah, the drive is over. I'm out.